Hello, everybody. My name is Eddie Hill, and welcome to Political Analytical. We have my other host, Dillan Holliday, who's with us tonight, and we're going to be bringing you some of the latest in news, some just random stuff, some political stuff. But we had to reboot the computer just a little bit ago because the lag was so bad. Everything I said, Dillan took like 30 seconds to hear me because of my slow internet connection. So we rebooted some stuff. I think we may have solved the problem for now. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Dillan, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's fantastic. Every day is great when we're dealing with Eddie Hill's shitternet. Uh, but let's get right into the news, Eddie. You know, you yourself being a police officer, let's talk about some sad news coming out of Hawaii. Two police officers were fatally shot in a Honolulu shooting, officials confirm. According to local police and state officials, at least two officers were killed in a shooting near Diamond Head in Honolulu today. News outlets reported that the officers were responding to a possible stabbing when they encountered a man with a gun and he opened fire. The suspect is still at large. So, obviously our thoughts and our prayers and our respect goes to these fallen soldiers who put their lives on the line for us. Eddie, as a police officer, what do you think about this kind of thing?
The craziest thing about being an officer is, when you're out and about on the street, we look at things like this. It's 98% boredom, 2% sheer terror. So you really never know what you're going to be getting involved in whenever you're out on the street or whenever you go to work. You don't know if that's the last time you're going to be leaving home or if you're ever going to make it back, for that matter. So you really need to appreciate everything that you have and kind of live every day like it's your last. And that's the way I try and explain to people, because so many people take what they have for granted, take their health for granted, take the way they live for granted, what they have for granted, and they don't really live life to the fullest. So I kind of try and let everybody know that you should live each and every day like it's your last one, because you just never know. And, my heart goes out to these officers and their families. I mean, it's a very sad situation. And from what I had heard, it was a gunman. I'm still under the impression that it's one gunman, but I kind of thought at one point in time it was more than just one, more of a kind of like a small riot type situation that was going on. But I haven't heard any more on that. All I know is that these officers have lost their lives. There's a lot of arson that's taking place right now in Hawaii, and God bless everybody that's there. Hope you all do your best to stay safe, and please, just be very careful right now, especially until they get this knucklehead under control. Dillan, what's the latest in news, man? What have you been hearing lately? Off the political side of it, real quick. I mean, other things going on besides just this sad situation. And by the way, just want to make sure everybody knows, God bless you all in Hawaii, and we hope that y'all stay safe. Dillan?
China's mysterious virus outbreak grows to 139 cases reported in over 2 days. Authorities in the U.S. will begin screening airline passengers from central China after a third person died and more than 100 cases of the new cornea virus strain were confirmed. The World Health Organization, or WHO, has recommended that everyone keep good hygiene and avoid people with cold and flu-like symptoms to protect themselves. This is a scary time. It seems like every 10 years there's a new disease that kind of takes over the world. We've seen the swine flu, we've seen Ebola, we've seen the Zika virus, and I think this is going to be, the next swine, the next Zika. Hopefully this doesn't become like the next AIDS, because it's very easy to get. But once again, with illness, we hope that everyone just stays safe.
Yeah, I mean, that's a scary thing. And if you're traveling, especially, do your best to stay clean and wash your hands often. Don't rub your face or touch your face. Try and keep some of that antibacterial stuff and whatever you may have to try and keep yourself clean, and hopefully, this stuff won't spread. But you just never know when you're traveling. I mean, that's the scary part of it all. You run into so many different people at the airports from all over. I mean, you really don't know who you're going to be, coming into contact with.
Well, Eddie, in the world of sports, a big 2 games took place today. We now know who will be contending in the Super Bowl. Eddie, are you ready for this?
Oh, heck, hit me with it. Go for it.
It will be the Kansas City Chiefs against the San Francisco 49ers.
The Chiefs against the 49ers.
That is your Super Bowl for
and who are you rooting for?
I would be rooting for the Chiefs in this situation. I have to say, Lamar Jackson to me was the best quarterback of the year. Definitely a fantastic player, the next Michael Vick, if you will. And I know a lot of people have said that along with myself. So I just have to root for my man Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, over the San Francisco. Patrick Mahomes for the Kansas City Chiefs has done so much in such a short time. The last 2 years they have been top contenders. And, Eddie, a lot of Kansas City Chief fans have waited their whole lives for this moment. And there's no doubt in my mind they're going to go forward and they're going to win that Super Bowl.
Well, let's see what happens, and that's going to be an interesting game once it takes place. And I know they've been waiting a long time for this, so they're hungry.
Yep. Also in sports, the big UFC main event from last night, Conor McGregor versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Eddie Hill, did you hear about this at all?
No, I did not. Explain.
So Conor McGregor is basically the top contender in the Ultimate Fighting Champion. Look at Conor McGregor. Not that I'm comparing his talent to this person, but I'm comparing his star to this person. Look at him like Muhammad Ali. Everybody in the world knows who Conor McGregor is. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime Conor McGregor is in a fight, it's going to be the main event. It does not matter if there's a title on the line. It's going to draw a lot of money, which it did. A lot of stars went to the fight. Tom Brady was there. David Spade was there. And for the main event, they saw Conor McGregor beat Donald Cowboy Cerrone in 40 seconds of the very first round.
That quick.
It's kind of sad. It's kind of bittersweet. Donald Cowboy Cerrone has been around for a long time. He's kind of an older guy in the UFC game. He's a great competitor, but his last several fights have been terrible. He's been on a losing streak. I feel like the UFC threw Donald at McGregor just to give Donald the payday, just so hopefully he walks away. Listen, I was really hoping that Donald Cerrone was going to last. I didn't think he was going to beat McGregor, but I was hoping that we were going to make it into the later rounds, and unfortunately, 40 seconds in the very first round. But hey, Conor McGregor is the best in the world besides, Khabib. So, all the support to him, and congratulations are in order on a great victory.
Absolutely. And on to something else here. As everybody knows, on Monday, Virginia is going to be holding this, big deal over there where a lot of the pro-gun, Second Amendment rights enthusiasts and as well as a lot of the militias are going to be attending. The governor over there, however, did make a state of emergency, basically, to where no one is allowed to carry weapons onto the Capitol grounds at all, anticipating possible problems. There wasn't going to be any for quite, as far as I was aware, until we just heard not long ago that Antifa is going to be making a presence over there to try and stir things up with the militias. How do you think that's going to go, Dylan?
This is one of the times where me being, in the middle of the political scale really shows. I actually agree with his decision to ban weapons from the what is it, the Capitol?
Right. It's from the Capitol.
I agree with that decision. As far as Antifa going and starting some stuff up, stirring some shit around, that's never going to end well. But they have their right to protest and do what they do, just like these pro-gun folks have the right to protest and do what they do, as long as it doesn't end in physical violence, which unfortunately it seems to more and more every day. As long as it doesn't end in physical violence, that's their right to do.
Oh, I agree 100% with you. The only problem is, Dylan, is that these Antifa guys and girls, they don't know how to have just a regular rally. They'll get out there and stop cars. They'll get in your way. They'll get in your face. They'll yell obscenities at you. They'll throw pee on you. I mean, it's been this way. It's a nonstop thing that they have, which started in Portland, Oregon, where they started doing all this stuff. And the police were told to stand down by the mayor of Portland and would not allow the police to intervene. And there's no way they would pull that off in Texas. The first one that jumped out in front of a truck is going to become a hood ornament. It won't happen here. But for them to actually think they're going to go to a pro-gun rally at the Capitol, knowing that your pro-gun owners, your militias are not allowed to have guns on the Capitol right now because of a temporary stand down order that the governor has over there, where they're looking at these laws, blah blah blah. They're going to have protests, and he did this, just basically out of safety, and that's okay. But the problem is going to be that these Antifa, if they do show up, and they show up at that Capitol, just because there's no weapons on the Capitol grounds does not mean there's not going to be any weapons in the pickup trucks of these guys parked down the road. And I think they start smacking people with sticks. You don't bring a stick to a gunfight. I'm sorry, but I mean, that's just the way it is. I hope it doesn't come to that. But knowing the way these Antifa people are, I have a bad feeling that something's going to spur up.
Well, speaking of guns, speaking of gun regulations and gun control, Eddie Hill, the other day I messaged you about a surprise album that the rapper Eminem dropped. Did you listen to the song I told you to listen to?
No, actually, I have not. I have been so dang busy. I have not listened to it. But go into detail a little bit about it.
Just so everyone knows, the song is titled Darkness. It has a video which... I do strongly suggest you to watch the video if you are into that kind of music. This is looking at it as a musical standpoint. Some of Eminem's darker work, it reminds me of his earlier days with Slim Shady and what he did back in the day. The song Darkness is through the perspective of the Las Vegas shooter that shot up last year, 2 years ago. It's been a minute now, but it's through his perspective, and the story kind of aligns itself with the shooter and the performer, and it's a story. It's definitely a story driven song, and at the end of the video, it basically is the Go Vote, register to vote website. And basically Eminem's throwing in his political opinion that, hey, we need some regulation here on weapons. So he's in some hot water right now. I'm speaking of his song purely as a song. I'm not getting too far into the political side of it. The song overall isn't bad. It has a very strong message, and I think if rap music is something that you guys are able to and willing to listen to, you should definitely check it out. The album is what is it? It's called like some music to be killed by or something like that. It's titled that because who was the guy who wrote the film Psycho? Alfred Hitchcock. It's based off of an old Alfred Hitchcock work. It's pretty neat, the whole thing. In some other musical news today, Eddie, are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
Is Dolly Parton's birthday.
Really?
Dolly Parton. Do you want to guess how old she is today?
How old? Tell me.
She is 74 years old today.
Wow.
Would you still have a go, Eddie?
No.
No, you would never go with Dolly?
No. Nope. And also we have Rick Warren watching, and also Sue Montague watching.
Welcome, guys. To get back into some regular just news, SpaceX has successfully completed the critical emergency escape test ahead of its first astronaut mission. So on Sunday today, SpaceX successfully conducted a test of the abort capabilities it would use if one of its crew carrying rockets ever developed an issue during flight. The test paves way for its first human space flight. I'm very excited about all this SpaceX shenanigans. Elon Musk is doing a great job. It seems like we've come such a long way in just a few years. How long has Elon Musk been relevant? Like 3 years?
Yeah, about that long.
The guys are making.
Rick Warren says it would behoove the governor to have as much help as possible at the meeting. And Eminem needs to look at the regulations and laws already on the books.
Sue, I would like to say it's Sunday for me. It's 10:32 at night. So take that, Sue. I love you, Sue. You know. The first Space Force uniforms are camouflage, and plenty of jokes have ensued. The United States Space Force, a new branch. I'm sorry, I can barely get through this without laughing hysterically. A new branch of the U.S. military by President Trump revealed a first look at the uniforms on Friday evening. The camouflage print has many people asking why the particular style would be necessary in space. Eddie, why would you need camouflage in space?
So they don't see you.
Eddie.
Okay. Look. If you're going to get camouflage in space, it should be black with little stars, almost like pajamas.
I agree. I think why not just make it footy pajamas? Let's just put all this. Because listen, what are these people fighting? This is the Space Force. They aren't fighting a damn thing. Just let them go out into space wearing footy pajamas.
Or you might have aliens.
You know, Eddie, if there's
that's for another channel.
Yeah, if there's aliens, we should talk about it on the other channel, but I don't think we should be going to war. Yesterday was Winnie the Pooh Day. Eddie, do you like the Pooh?
I love Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, Christopher Robin. That was a terrible Winnie the Pooh. I'm so sorry I'm so sorry you guys had to be put through that. I'm trying to find some more news here. Eddie, do you have anything that I haven't
news? There's a lot of news. Let me pull up some news over here. And
by all means. I can't find the political tab. I was going to talk about some political news, but there's no political tab.
There actually is political news to be had, and a lot of it. Right now, you have an Idaho veteran demanding House Democrats face treason charges.
Okay. Is that all? It doesn't say what he did to get these treason charges?
Well, it does.
Okay.
R.J. Posey grew up in southern Ohio. Then he served his country aboard the aircraft carrier in the Pacific Ocean. Now he serves his fellow veterans as a commander on the American Legion in Jerome. He believes the President of the United States has had his rights violated by Democrats, specifically those in the United States House of Representatives. Posey believes Nancy Pelosi and her liberal colleagues are also guilty of treason. He wants Democrats arrested and tried for their crimes. Well, I wish to God they'd arrest Pelosi or freaking do something with her. I'm so sick of looking at her prune face.
And I'm sorry to
Okay.
cut you off there, but this here is the political war that's been brewing. You can't just group all Democrats into the same category.
No,
Okay.
well, you can't. You really can't. But
You know,
a majority, yes.
well, that's a debate for another day, but I don't think you can group all groups of people into the same thing. You can't say imprison all of these people because, by the way, guys, let's not forget we live in a democracy. If we didn't have the other side, it would be not a democracy, and that's what makes our country so great. Is the fact we have multiple sides.
Okay, I think we lost Dylan. Rick Warren, a man is suing Pornhub for not having a closed caption. Wow, Rick, I'd like to see how they spell all that out. And that's a good one. I like that. And also, apparently, Democrats are on a rampage. Now they're wanting the Attorney General, William Barr, to be impeached. They're trying to impeach like everybody. I don't know what's got into them, but they need to lock their heels down and do something with these idiots. I mean,
Am I
they're
allowed
just
to
getting
read
crazy.
Rick Warren's news? Will we get banned?
Huh?
Am I allowed to read Rick Warren's news? Will we get banned?
No, I already read it.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, there goes the internet. Great.
You read it. Go ahead and read it. Read it from
It
your end.
says a man is suing Pornhub for not having closed captions on the videos. Doesn't have subtitles. This guy's just trying to have a nice little subtitled experience. Need that story.
Oohs and ahs and all the I don't know.
No,
Maybe
Eddie,
sign
you're
language.
missing the point. You're missing the point. It's so he can watch the detailed story
Absolutely.
unravel. You need the story, you know? Hey, what if it's
I
a
guess.
German
Well,
lady?
you
You
know
can't
what?
understand her.
I guess if you have to sign language back and forth on Pornhub, it would kind of take away from the experience.
It would. See, the only sign language I know is this, It's a good thing we don't have a bigger audience or I'd be a meme right now. Oh,
Yeah, so I
what
don't
else do
know,
we have,
man.
Eddie, news-wise?
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and like I said, like this other one where cops will be beaten if Bernie Sanders does not get a nomination. What do you think of that? They're going to beat up the cops.
Listen, Bernie Sanders is an interesting person to me. He's been in the news lately for his comments about women not being able to become president. Warren had a great point, actually. I don't know if you watched it, Eddie. What's Sue saying? Eddie, am I supposed to read this, Eddie? Are we good?
Yeah, I am Democrat, and if you are a Democrat, why are people turning against? Because of their political views.
She's saying, I am a Democrat. And she's saying, if you're a Democratic, I assume society, then why are you turning against people because of their political views? I'll take that, even though it's a question for Eddie. I think that's just human nature that if you don't agree with something, you're going to be against it innately. And I think that's how, American politics are.
And it's either you're with Trump or you're against Trump right now. It's divided.
I feel like that's true in some cases, but like I can agree with some decisions and I can absolutely hate other decisions. And I will say I don't like him on a certain level that isn't political. But that's once again a discussion for another time. Back to the story. Elizabeth Warren was on the panel, and she said, "Listen, the men on this panel have lost 10 elections. The women have not lost one, and there's only 2 women on the panel." I thought it was really that she would.
Okay, I'm not sure if you're actually cutting out or if it's on my end, Dylan, but I totally lost you on that one. However, I will say that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if we lost Eddie Hill or what the
Can you
deal
hear me?
is. There we go.
Yeah, because I lost you and you froze up, so I didn't know if it was on my end or your end, but I think it's my end, of course.
I would assume they heard me. So I was asking you, Eddie, how you felt about a female president. Do you
I
think
wouldn't
it's
mind at
possible?
all as long as she was for the United States. The problem is that the female president or the female candidates that we have going up is you've got Pocahontas, who
I
thinks
don't
that
think you can say that.
I can
Remember me.
say that. You know what? Because I'm not
Oh no!
politically correct,
Oh
and you
no!
know that. So we've got Pocahontas because she's got like one cell that's Indian in her, I think is what she said, something like that. Anyway, and then who's the other one, Dylan? Who's the other one candidate?
I've Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren. No,
She looks like your very stereotypical grandmother.
yeah, no, none of these are going to work. And then we've got Joe Biden, who likes fondling children.
Well, Joe Biden's not a woman.
No,
But yes,
but he loves fondling kids, and he does it right on television.
we have seen. I wouldn't say fondle is the right word. He
Feeling up.
he definitely he embraced a young female who had nothing to do with it. She stepped away from that. Yeah, I can't say that I agree with that. Oh Jesus, Sue's writing books. LOL. Here we couldn't give a shit, but many Aussies don't like our prime minister because he was holidaying in Hawaii. Is that like vacationing? I think that's
Right.
vacationing. Holidaying in Hawaii while our country, oh Jesus, was in a national crisis because of the bushfires.
Yeah, I wouldn't like him either, Sue. I mean, seriously, the whole country's up in flames, and you got people dying, you've got animals dying, you got all this taking place. It's under a state of emergency. You've got people from all over flying in to try and help put these fires out. And Knucklehead, your prime minister, is off in Hawaii enjoying the sights. I mean, honestly, they need to boot this dude out and get somebody else. That's my own personal opinion.
I hate to defend this fellow, but I'm sure he was aware of the situation.
Of course he was. That's why he left.
But listen, I think he did. Wait, I think he did what any person in political power would have done. He evacuated. Because they take their safety to be number one. It might have not even been his decision to evacuate. He might have been
still
told
bullshit. He could have, even if it wasn't his decision, he could have stayed and made sure things were being taken care of, and the fires were being taken care of, and the wildlife and the human beings that were all in danger. And for him to leave like that that's very shitty. I'm sorry to hear that, Sue. That's a shitty prime minister you have there. That would have been like something like Obama would have pulled.
Well, like I said, we don't know if it was his decision to do this holiday as you're describing it. He could have been evacuated, being someone of high power in the. We don't know all of the facts there. Another thing, Eddie, we were talking a little bit about Mr. Joe Biden. How do you feel about the Yang Gang?
I'm sorry, the what?
The Yang Gang. The fella Yang. He's running for president. I forget his first name now. He's the Asian fellow running for president. Wants to give everyone $1,000 a month.
I don't know anything about this dude. I think I've seen him once. That's why I had to ask you to repeat the name, because this is somebody that I don't even know. And, the fact that he's that, kind of hidden, really, unless he comes up on the notches where it looks like he might be the chosen one, I'm not going to worry too much about him.
He's been trending because a bunch of celebrities have been hashtagging Yang Gang because his last name's Gang, so his last name's Yang, so they're being the Yang Gang. They're his supporters. Basically, his idea is, He wants to give everyone in the United States $1,000 a month.
Yeah, I'd like to see where those $1,000 a month are going to come from, basically, because if he's going to do that, just save us on our taxes so we don't have to pay all that. And
that's you talked about, off air a couple days ago. Is, yeah, we should just be cutting this in taxes then, save us, that in taxes, which I agree with 100%. Fuck giving me free money if it's going to be taxed anyway.
It's not free. Any money they give you isn't
you know
free.
what I'm saying. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Even if they gave us that blanketed $1,000 and said this is no strings attached, $1,000 a month, we know that it would be taxed and all that. Yeah, just take it out of our taxes. Just say, hey, don't pay as much. We got you, America. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Eddie, something that I do want to talk about is it affects me. We are about the 1 month mark of smoking and tobacco products being illegal for anyone under 21 years old in the United States. How do you feel about this, Eddie?
Honestly, I don't personally agree with all that, and I'm going to tell you why. And it's not so much because I think young kids should be smoking or using tobacco or anything. This is the way I look at it. You've got 18-year-old kids, some 17, going into the U.S. military, handed M60 machine guns or assigned to a tank unit, and they're fighting these wars. They're going off, they're getting killed, they're doing all this stuff, but yet they're not old enough to drink a beer or have a cigarette, and as far as I'm concerned, I think that's kind of shitty. I really do. I think if you are old enough to go fight and die, you should be old enough to have a beer and a smoke.
Well, Eddie, I can't hear you through the smoke that I'm puffing out. Listen, we all know my opinion on it. Yeah, this is tobacco. Apologize.
Okay.
I don't want anyone to think that we're hitting the green. Listen, everybody knows who came from the old show that I have a vape. And that I do smoke. I understand why they did this. Don't get me wrong. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm an entitled, bitchy kid. I am 20 years old. I turned 20 2 days before they changed the law. Okay. My opinion on it's like this. First off, I know people are still going to get their hands on it. The other point I'd like to bring up is, remember, Eddie, a couple years ago when they said they were worried about kids smoking, so they were going to raise the tax? Did anybody quit smoking? Did anybody quit smoking?
No, and it's not going to stop anybody from smoking if you smoke.
And here's another question. Eddie, what law? If you bought someone who was under 18 a pack of cigarettes before, you were contributing to the delinquency of a minor. What are you doing now? Contributing to the delinquency of a grown-ass fucking person? What is happening? You people, listen, this is, okay, you want me to get on a soapbox, Eddie? You want me to get political here for a minute?
Yeah, hang on. We got Rick Warren who just jumped in. He said, it is imperative that we have elected officials who will represent his or her constituents. We, the people, are the whole of this republic. And I feel, in my humble opinion, that nations all over the world fall woefully short of being accurately represented. And I agree with you, Rick Warren. Thank you for that comment. That is a very true comment.
Let me get on my political soapbox here. Everybody wants to talk about how the Democrats are pussies, right? The libtards. They're changing things that don't need to be changed. A Republican president signed a bill that said, if you're 18, you can't smoke. Could you imagine if a Democrat did that? You would be saying that Democrats are taking away your children's rights. A Republican does it, and nobody said that on the other side. All we're asking is why. All we're asking is, listen, we're grown-ass people. First off, this is another thing, okay? You go into the military. Eddie brought up a military point. Listen, you're able to go out and purchase a gun, which is another thing. Throwing that out there. I can carry around an M16 and blow everyone's brains out, but God forbid I have a cigarette, you know? To me, once you go to war, you're given a card which allows you to drink and smoke at 18 and, you know, whatever age you join. When you come back, though, I don't believe that's still valid. So you come back dealing with PTSD, you don't even get to come home and take the edge off with a nice little bottle of Jack, nice little cigar. You're just sitting there with nothing but your thoughts. I think that smoking, to me, the reason that I smoke, it's a stress reliever. As you guys have seen, I've quit countless times just because I wanted to. That's how I do my smoking rotation. It keeps the flavors fresh. And for those of you who don't vape, you don't understand that concept. But to me, smoking is something that keeps my nerves down. If I'm getting nervous, if I'm getting anxious, I'll smoke. And it fixes. Problem solved. I don't need medications. I have a nice cigarette. What do you think, Eddie?
Hey, you know, whatever floats your boat. I think at the age of 18, if you're old enough to go to prison, you're old enough to smoke or whatever else. Even as far as drinking's concerned, I mean, it's just a matter of how well you follow the rules. And I'm not saying even adults at 21 follow rules or older, but I think as long as we are very... I guess even giving it a try like we did before, because when I was 18, I turned 18, I was allowed to smoke. I was allowed to drink. Turned the tables and said, 21, you can drink. I just turned 21. So I never really fell into that category where I wasn't allowed to do one of those type things. And, I think as far as myself and the people that I was around, we did not drink and drive. We didn't pull any of that crap. You know, we weren't your crazy drunk teenagers. And I'm not saying there aren't any out there, because I know they are. I dealt with them too many times as a police officer. But I don't think by raising the age, you're raising the responsibility level. Either you're an idiot or you're not.
And listen, to step off my soapbox, I know I kind of did a rant there that nobody understands, and I apologize for that looking back at it. To look at this analytically and nip it in the butt, I understand why they're making this decision. They're saying, listen, there's 18-year-olds that are still in high school. They're easily purchasing products for these people that are way younger than them. And, you know, whatever they're exchanging, however they're doing that, you know, whatever. I was in the public education system at 19 years old in high school. I can tell you that does happen. I can also tell you I never bought a single underage person a goddamn thing. Okay. You know, recently in my home state of Pennsylvania, 2 children, and I call them children, even though one of them was 18 years old, gave a 2-year-old child a jewel to suck on because they were babysitting. That is irresponsible. That is a terrible act. And that makes everybody who smokes look bad.
Like I told you, Dylan, either you're going to be responsible or you're not going to be responsible. Either you're the type of person that's going to be responsible with your alcohol or tobacco or whatever other, you know, whatever the case might be, or you're not going to be. And it doesn't matter if you're 18, 19, 20, or 21. Those few extra years that they give you, I have found, and this is over 26 years of being on the street, it doesn't make a difference. Once an idiot, for the most part, always an idiot.
And the thing to me that bothers me the most is, like I said, I'm now a year away from being able to purchase these items. I wasn't grandfathered in. I'm someone who's been smoking since I turned 18. Mind you, it was legally at that point. And I'm going to continue to smoke. I have no problem telling you that. First off, there's no crime there as long as I'm not purchasing it myself. And that would be a crime on the business's point of perspective, not mine. I'm not breaking a goddamn law.
But
Eddie,
are you?
I don't believe there's a law against smoking underage. I don't think there's a law against purchasing underage. That would fall on the business, not me.
That's like saying if I'm drinking, but I didn't buy it, it's okay. It's the
No,
same
because
thing.
it is, but it isn't. Because when you're drunk, you're on a high.
True.
When you're drunk, you can drink and drive, get behind the wheel of a car, and actually damage people. What am I going to do from smoking?
Drop a hot cherry in your lap and crash.
Well, all right, that's a little bit of a stretch, but I don't drive. See, I don't drive. No,
You'll drop a hot cherry on someone else's lap and crash, or burn a hole in their upholstery.
well, I guess that's just being a dick. If I burned a hole in their interior there, but like, I wasn't grandfathered in, which I am upset about that. But listen, I'm going to continue to smoke, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to continue to smoke. I'm smoking responsibly. I'm doing what I do responsibly, and I'm doing it honestly. I could lie and say I'm never going to smoke again. Instead, I chose to light a cigarette up here in front of all of you folks. So, Eddie, you don't believe people can change, says Sue. Eddie, may I take this before you do?
Go ahead.
I don't think people can change. I really don't. I think the only time people change, there's two times people change. When you're about to die and you find God, or when everyone hates you and you find God. That's when people change. Eddie, take it away.
Honestly, you are who you are. And I don't think you actually change. I think you develop different habits as you get older, some better, some worse. I think once you are a certain way, if you have a very bad taste in your mouth for the laws that are there, I have not seen anybody completely change in all 26 years of law enforcement. I've seen people attempt to change. I've seen people maybe get a little bit better, but I've seen people also fall off and just stay bad. I think that once you hit that certain path, it's really difficult to get off of it. I would hope, being that we are human beings, that we have the capability to change, but you have to want that change before you can do it. You have to want that your life to be different before you can actually make it different. And no matter what anybody says, does, tells you, or anything else, you're going to follow that one path that you've chosen until you make an honest effort to get off that path and do something different with yourself and your life. I don't think that it's as easy as it sounds for most people. And I think it's very difficult for a lot of people.
But even then, Eddie, they don't blame themselves. They blame everything else in every other situation. People that abuse drugs don't blame themselves. They blame the guy they met when they were 16 years old in the back alley who gave them that first hit. The guy who came at me when I released an album titled Stoner's Manifesto, which I took down out of respect for this man, by the way, came at me because he thought I was disrespecting users. That's not true. It couldn't be more further than the truth. The fact is that he was listening to my song, and as opposed to saying, listen, man, I dealt with this offends me, he comes at me, man, I was a user for 15 years. Don't be doing us that way. He didn't come at it like, I was a user, that kind of hurts me. He came at me angry, like, and so that guy's obviously not changed because he's still not taking responsibility. He's still blaming other people. You listen, man, you can't even talk about it. God forbid you write a song about it, try to entertain some people. I don't think people change. I'm young, and I don't think people change.
Well, we'll drop that right there. And I think, in a lot of ways, you and I kind of see eye to eye on that. But I think people have to want it before it can actually happen. And I haven't seen it very often, honestly. And I've seen people try, but I've seen them slip right back down the same path. I think it's once you're down that path, it's a hard path to get out of.
And listen, I feel for those people too.
Dillan,
go ahead.
What is the next big political thing coming up here this coming week?
I would assume it might be the Republican convention. I think we just had a Democratic. Let me look up the political schedule. One moment.
Rick Warren says real quick before we get into it, I've been connected with rehab and addiction for over 20 years. What you said, Eddie, is undisputed truth. Thank you, Rick. And I really feel that it is. I mean, it's an unfortunate thing, but I really wish that, we were able to somehow get people to understand, some of the things that they're doing wrong, whether it's drugs, whether it's thefts, burglaries, robberies, whatever the case may be, and they're going down that wrong path, and turn them around and help them and fix it. But honestly, I don't know how. I've seen it. I've worked with people like that. You can incarcerate them. You can do so many things. I don't know. It just doesn't work. And it seems like the longer they're incarcerated, the more they don't want to be free, the more they want to go back, the more they want to be part of that system, because they don't know how to survive or live in a free world once they've been locked up for X amount of time. It kind of, slips past them. They don't know how to make it as a normal person out on the street. Dillan, go ahead.
I'm not finding anything. The only thing that I'm finding politically is there's a whole lot of information about the impeachment of Donald Trump, but I'm not finding anything. The only thing I found about the Republicans is that their debates are much later in the year. That's all I could find. And Sue says, yes, it sure is a difficult path. And that's true. Listen, I feel for users. I feel for people who are on that path. But at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of these folks are changing. Rick says, I've seen actual rehab, but only in very few cases. I assume he's saying he's seen some people change in rehab. Rehab is one of those difficult things too, because there's a lot of rehabs where that's where a lot of dealers just kind of set up shop, is right outside the rehab, because they know the people walking out want a fix. They'll give them a cheap price, and then,
Right. And then Sue says, what people don't understand is that drug addicts and alcoholics have an illness. You're correct, Sue. It is an illness, and it's an incredibly difficult illness to treat.
Eddie, to talk about, God, I hope I don't end this yelling at you. To end talking about the impeachment of Donald Trump. How are you feeling about this? Are you feeling confident in Trump right now? Are you feeling confident in his ability to stay in office? We've seen his defense, his defense attorneys have been named. He has a lot of the same guys who defended OJ, the Weinstein brothers, and Jeffrey Epstein. So what do you think, Eddie?
Honestly, I don't think he has any worries. I think this was a witch hunt from the very beginning, spurred by Nancy Pelosi. And this is something that they've been after him the whole term. Since even before he was elected, they've been after him. I think this has been a witch hunt by the Democrats, and I think they have continued this witch hunt. If they would have spent as much energy trying to help him to make America great again as they have spent trying to get him out of office and impeach him, we'd be in a lot better shape. But they have continuously attacked him, continuously harassed him, continuously gone after him, his cabinet, everybody. And they have caused more trouble. They're a bunch of disorganized children throwing a tantrum because they didn't win. I think all of them are more criminal than they can ever imagine him being a criminal. I mean, these people are so dirty, so disgusting. so detrimental to the United States. They should be removed from office immediately. But here's the good thing, and it's a blessing in disguise, Dylan. I'm going to tell you why. Because by them impeaching President Trump, if he is found not guilty by the cabinet, he is able to run 2 more terms. He can be elected 2 more times. And ask me why.
Well, 1 second before we get to that, I would like to say hello to Scott. And yes, Sue, myself and Eddie are complete opposites politically. Eddie, continue.
Ask me why it's a blessing. Ask me why he's going to be able to
You're
run 2
making
more
me
terms.
feed into this. So we can get dictator Trump before the world ends in World War III. No, it's so he could run. He could look back at the people who voted him out and say, "Fuck you, the people actually want me here." Yes.
No, the reason being is because if he is impeached, his first term and as a president is void. It goes away, even though he's still president and he's still running. If he is found innocent, which he will be, it opens him up to run 2 more terms. And that's when I'm going to be sitting there doing the old hump thing on air for old Nancy Pelosi and her little piece of crap, little, for better lack of terminology, little bitches that she hangs out with over there, her and her little gang of thugs. And hopefully they're going to be all voted out of office, because the American people can no longer trust Nancy Pelosi and basically all of them. They're all thugs, every one of them. They've been after the President Trump since before he was president, and all of them, every single one of them Democrats, should be strung up by their toenails, impeached themselves, or brought up on charges of treason for all the corrupt crap that they've pulled on spying and all this Russia collusion and all this crap that they brought up, blowing hot air. Every damn one of them should be thrown out of office, impeached with a mega freaking record, and put in prison for the rest of their freaking life.
Before I rebut, I would like to explain one thing. I'm going to explain what my political allegiance is. I am an independent at heart. However, in the United States, if you're an independent, you aren't allowed to vote in the primary. You have to pick a side. You have to either be Republican or Democrat. For that reason, I am Democratic registered. But I do see myself as an independent because I can see the good and bad of both sides. And I don't vote based off of the side. I vote based off of the person, the good that I see, and the benefits I see them bringing to our country. Eddie, we actually agree on something that I don't know if you realize we agree on. You were talking about how you feel like Pelosi should be voted out. And I agree with you to an extent, but I don't even think she should be voted out. I think the United States should implement term limits, which is the one thing that Donald Trump has actually done positively.
You and I do agree on that.
That's the one thing positively. However, you brought up a point that is just untrue. You said that they were blowing smoke about the Russian collusion. That is completely factual that he was speaking with the Russians. Completely factual. Now, on the Republican side, wait. Now, let me finish because I'm going to kind of defend you. For the same reason that it's factual that Joe Biden shouldn't be president, because his son's doing the same thing Trump did and Trump's kids did. It's dirty on all sides because politics is a very dirty game. We've known this since 1960 when John F. Kennedy was elected and his mob father was running around. All right.
Real quick, let me just jump in. Joe Biden shouldn't be president because he's also a freaking pedophile.
Well, listen. It isn't yet. We can't make blanket claims like that yet. Listen, I will say this. There is definitely evidence that he's a little touchy with young folks. We've all seen the clips. I don't think you can blatantly say that someone's a pedophile. We have no evidence of that. Okay. The other thing that you brought up, Eddie, that I'd like to look at just at the different side is you were saying that these guys were after Trump since day one. People were after Obama since before he got elected. Now, I
No. If
understand
there was one
different.
person they should have went ahead and impeached was Obama.
Yeah, and
That guy
I
shouldn't have even
I
been
get
in
that.
the White House.
But see, that's helping my point, Eddie. That's helping my point. Politics are a dirty game. It's murkier and murkier, especially as we're moving into an age where everything's done on social media. Like I said, we agree on some things, Eddie. We don't agree on other things. This went a lot better than I thought it would go. And Sue says, oh, Jesus, there's a lot happening. So Sue says, hi, Scott. Nice of you to join the political party. LOL. And Sue also says, Eddie, has Joe Biden ever been charged for pedophilia? I don't think so.
No, he hasn't. But if you ever watch a lot of his political parties and things of that nature, and watch some of the camera angles of some of the things that he's doing when he's standing with children, you can blatantly see, like, I'm going to bring up just one in particular that just jumped to the top of my head. There's a little girl that he's literally holding on to, and he's rubbing his hand across her chest, and you see her elbow him, like, to move his hands away from her, and he puts them right back. And you see him kissing on little girls and hugging on, feeling up on them. I mean, he's a sick bastard. I mean, seriously. And I mean, just manhandling a child like that should, if it was my daughter and I saw him pull some shit like that, I'd have knocked him into next week.
But listen, there's a lot of sick people in positions of power. The pussy grabber is president. So you can't just
But they're adults. He can grab them if he wants.
And you know what? I get that and I understand that and I can see your point definitely. But you can't just say that someone's a pedophile. You have to say, you suspect, or you can say, you feel this way or you don't agree with how he conducts himself around children, and that's fine. But you can't just start calling people pedophiles. You can't do that. Go ahead, Eddie. Would you like to read Rick's statement?
Rick Warren says, exactly. I don't agree with his ego at times, but show me a president who don't have an ego. That's true. They all have egos of some sort. But before we have a witch hunt, let's indict, I
assume.
Indict the known facts of the previous administration, known facts of previous political party agendas. Then we have bastardized this, our political nation. Hey, ooh, yeah. I agree. And
read the next comment,
Eddie, you should know better than making assumptions. You're a cop. It's not an assumption. I mean, cops go on gut feelings most of the time. And I'm telling you, when a cop feels something, we're going to share it, whether we think it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'll stop somebody, and 99% of the time I stopped them for a reason, and I'm going to find it, and I will. And I'm right, and I have found that I am right most of the time. After so many years of being a cop, you develop this sixth sense, and when you've got somebody that's jacked, or somebody that's a criminal, or somebody that's holding or hiding something, and we find it. And that's a lot of police work. We gain those feelings, those.
It's intuition. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we know what we're dealing with. So yes, it's an assumption. And yes, you're right, Sue. It's, kind of premature to jump on that. But, when you feel something and you're right, you may not be able to prove it, but you're right. And, listen, just like on the street, sometimes we got to let them go, but we know we're right. And
like I said,
time when we catch them.
I've seen the Joe Biden videos as well. And I don't agree with the way he's conducting himself. The video that I remember specifically seeing, I don't remember the breast one. I don't remember that one, but you were talking about the video where he went to kiss the little girl on the cheek and she kind of pushed him away. I did see that video.
It's just, there's a certain line you don't cross, especially when you're dealing with children that are not related to you, are not your own. And especially when you're taking pictures with families that you've never met before on a political race. You don't sit there and start pawing all over my daughter just because you're standing with me. That's not going to happen whether she's 4 or she's 18. You start pulling something like that around me, and as a dad, I'm going to thump you. That's just the way it goes.
And I definitely, like I said, I agree with you there. I do think, though, that as much as you try not to be politically correct, as you call it, I don't think it's about being politically correct. I think it's being about being right morally. And morally, we can't just make blanket statements about groups of people, and we can't make blanket statements about things that we don't know about. And we don't have, listen, we may have evidence that may lean to the fact that maybe he does have an affection for young people, but we don't have hard evidence that he's into that. And
True.
I think that we have to make that, I think that we have to make that a point so people realize that.
And Sue says, "Well, I don't like the way Trump disrespects women." True, and a lot of women have that same opinion as you do, Sue, and a lot of women, really don't care either way. But I will say that in his position right now, he does have an obligation to treat women, with more respect than what he did. I guess you would say as just a businessman, but as a businessman, and especially one with a lot of money, one that travels a lot, you're going to expect that he's going to be around a bunch of hoochies. I mean, there's no way around that. I mean, it's going to happen. And it's just like if you're trying to say, oh, well, I've never said that. Well, if you're a man and you've never said anything of the source or talked about a woman's private parts as a guy at some point in time in your life, more than likely, it's about a 99% chance you are lying, because most guys will talk about it, So the fact that he said it out loud and he's now in a position where it matters, I can see where that's an issue. But at the same time, you have to understand at the time he said that, he was not in that position.
But he also didn't propose it.
He also didn't propose it. It's okay. But at the same time, I mean, there's not a guy around that I know of that's never spoke like that.
But he also didn't propose it as a regular person. A blanket statement like what a regular guy would say is, man, I really love pussy, or you should have saw the pussy I had last night. This guy goes, I just grab him right by the pussy, and when you're rich and powerful, they let you do it.
He's not lying.
I get that, but it's I'm not even going to say it's like he's bragging about it. He's bragging about the fact that he sexually assaults people.
And Sue says, so what, having money is no excuse. You're right, Sue. It's not any excuse. But even guys that don't have money still do that, still talk like that. Like I said, I don't know a single guy anywhere that has not spoken those same words at some point in time in their life that have been around at any amount of time. So, I mean, it's just, it's sad, but it's true.
You know, Eddie, I was worried about, defending myself on this show, but it looks like I'm at least going to have one person help me out in the Sue, because it looks like me and Sue seem to agree on a lot of things.
No, I mean, it's not that I don't agree with you. I'm just saying, I mean, that's something that's spoken about by most men. And if I agree. Think that there's a man out there that's an angel like that, it's just not going to happen unless you're Jesus Christ, But
the other issue, though, was they were describing this as, it was just locker room talk. Listen, we shouldn't be comparing a 70-year-old grown-ass businessman to 18-year-old boys. That was my big issue at the time, is the fact that we were comparing somebody who should, by the way, know better to 18-year-olds in the high schools. Are you willing to admit that those are different circumstances, Eddie? When you're in high school talking about pussy, it's a little different than when you're 70 years old and married.
Not necessarily, because I know men in that same position that still talk like that. And Rick Warren says, love to give and take on this show, but at the end of the day, none of our opinions nor our I can't read the rest of that.
Uh, none of our
Proclivities toward
opinions,
a moral
nor
compass will mean a damn thing to the elite.
which is right. Listen, we do this show to entertain you guys and to give you our perspectives. And, I have to say, I think myself and Eddie have done a good job just here as the first show, kind of giving that give and take where, myself and Eddie, if there's anything we've learned, neither of us back down.
No,
And
and Sue says, "Wow, that must be unacceptable in America, treating women like second-class citizens. Not acceptable here. No, and it's not acceptable here either, depending on where you're at and who you're with. Uh, like I said, it's over here. It's more like knowing who you can talk to like that and who you can't. You've got your hoochie mamas that talk like that to guys. So, I mean, it happens from the girl's point of view toward the men. That's not an uncommon thing here either. Like I said, it just depends on where and who you're hanging with. I mean, if you're hanging with people that have that type of class, that type of personality, or someone that is demands that you what do you call it, treat them with class and treat them with respect, then no, you wouldn't want to talk like that. Other areas, you could be at some country club down the road, and either you're going to talk like that to the girls and they don't care, or they're going to be talking to you like that, and most guys aren't going to care. So, I mean, it just depends. It just, who you're with, where you're at, that kind of a thing. Is it acceptable? Do I think it's right? No, I don't. But does it happen? Yes, it does.
You have to remember where Sue is from, though, Eddie. Australia, was the second country in the world to give women the right to vote. So Australia is far advanced, on that spectrum compared to the United States.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I definitely see where Sue's coming from as a female who lives in Australia. She's had, I would like to say she's probably had a pretty equal footing for most of, if not all of her life. I mean, she's always had the right to vote over there, but like, she's probably politically had an equal footing, and it's weird for her to see the United States where maybe it's not so equal,
Oh, I agree. And like I said, I mean, in different countries, people are treated differently, talked to differently. Like over here, you'd be amazed. More and more women are talking more smack than guys talk, and you see that more and more where these girls talk more smack than men.
I think a great way to end this is to talk about the last topic, which will probably take us into another 30 minutes. Eddie, are you ready?
Go ahead.
We talked about this off the phone, offline, and I'm curious if you'll keep the same opinion. Obviously, a couple weeks ago, we had the fear of World War III, and you were just speaking about, the feminist movement here in the United States. Eddie, if they re-implement the draft, do you feel like women should have to be accountable to sign up at 18, just like men are?
I think they want equal rights. I think they should sign up just like men. And this is something that I feel strongly about. If they want to be put in the same situations as men, then they should be forced to sign up just like any man would. To me, you're trying to play on a double-edged sword by saying, I want equal rights. I want to do everything a man does. I want to get paid the same, and which I agree they should. I think women should be equals on men, but that when it comes up to signing up for war or for a draft, they're saying, "Oh, wait a minute, hold your
I'm
horses."
dainty. I believe my exact quote was
Yeah,
that they're going to pull back and say I'm dainty.
yeah.
I can agree with you, Sue. I'm interested to hear your opinion on this. Even though you're not from the United States, I'm sure you probably know what the draft is. Basically, at 18, everyone has to sign up for war. Well, all men at 18 have to sign up in case we were ever needed for war. And I'm asking Eddie if he feels like women should be implemented in this process. Eddie, this is something I agree with you on. I brought this up the other day because the way that I see it is like this. You can't be talking about how, you have the right to go to war over here with words if you're not willing to pick up a gun and go to war like everybody else. It's fine and dandy to sit home and just bitch about everything that men are doing. But listen, if you really want to earn your stripes, go over there and shed some blood like the good old boys did. You can't, and bam, stripes are earned. But right now, we're living in a country that is very much protecting. Because listen, there's a lot of people, specifically Eddie, in your political party, I would like to mention, that are saying, "Listen, we don't want women over there, because they'll be raped and tortured." And my response when someone said that has always been the same. So are the men. I really don't see what the difference is there. So are the men. The men are assaulted.
Now Sue says, "Haha, Eddie, you sound like a bloody chauvinist." In a way, I do, and I'm not, but I know I sound like it on that, because there are some political opinions that, is that I feel real strongly about. Now, to finish off on that topic, one more thing about that is that yes, there is a greater chance of women being sexually assaulted. There's a greater chance of them being taken as prisoners. Men may feel more protective over the women soldiers and put themselves in line of fire where they could get possibly killed, where they wouldn't have done it for another guy. These kind of things. And that's all human nature to do. Now, as long as women know this and they want to continue forward, hey, if you feel you can do the job and fill the boots, I'm with you 100%. If you don't think you can fill those boots and you want to do something maybe not on the front lines, I can totally understand that as well. Me personally, I've got a daughter. I would support her whether she wanted to go on the front lines, rear lines, whatever she wanted to do. I am for whatever they want. However, I do feel that when a draft comes up, everybody should sign up regardless of what your abilities or your thoughts are on it. And you can go from there once you're in and, place you where you're going to do the most good. Because let's face it, not everybody's going to be, gun ho and on the front lines ready to, kick ass.
Yeah, they're not taking me. Listen, they would put me in a mail room where I'd be cooking somewhere. There is no place they would put a 325-pound man on the front lines. They just wouldn't do it. It's not Vietnam anymore.
I'd put you up there.
Yeah, but they won't. Not
no,
in the desert.
I'd put you in front of me.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure that's probably why they avoid it, because everyone go behind the fat people. Everyone would say, "Get behind fatty," then we're all getting shot, and listen, fat men would be how we would win the war. We'd have meat shields.
Well, anyway,
Eddie, could you imagine? Listen, you could carry me on your back like a backpack.
Well, I think we've been on long enough, and I think we've had a pretty good opening on this.
Wait. Rick is saying Israel and other countries have women in their military. I guess I lose the gender neutrality of those women who choose to not defend a country.
And Stu says, well, I'm not joining up. I'm too old anyway, so don't take us to war, please. You go, we go. I agree, Sue. I understand that. As allies, if the U.S. does go to war or something pops up where, we end up into a shitstorm, yes, you guys will be there with us. But hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully everything will just stay neutral. There'll be a lot of screaming and pushing and, that kind of a thing. And that's as far as it'll go, we hope.
Don't worry,
But,
Sue. Eddie's too old too.
Yeah, I'm too old, but I'd damn sure go if they called on me. I promise you I'd go. I would go in a heartbeat. And that's just me because I'm aggressive.
Like I said, yeah, I wouldn't deflect or anything. I don't think they would take me the shape I'm in. So, but all right, I guess that's it. Eddie, do you have any last minute thoughts or anything you'd like to say?
First off, I just want to let everybody know we know that our opinions don't make a hill of beans when all the smoke clears. But you know what? This is a place to get stuff off our chest, talk about what's going on. Argue back and forth, have a good time with it. And Dillan and I, most of the time, we're on opposite sides of the table. But
this was actually really rare. It was really rare that all of the topics, for the most part, we talked about we agree on. That will change, boys and girls.
Well, maybe not. We don't know. But it's a lot of fun, and it's done for fun, just for you guys, so that you can kind of jump in, share your thoughts, your opinions. We can share our thoughts and opinions, post things that are funny memes, because there's going to be a lot of that crazy shit coming up. Even the closer to election we come, all kinds of crazy stuff. And we're looking forward to having fun with it and arguing and just having a good time with you guys and letting you guys come forward. If you want, tell us that you want to jump on the show. We'll send you a link, jump on. Sue, you're going to have to come on one of these times with us and join. And we'll talk about all this stuff and argue back and forth. I think it'd be fun. But y'all take care. We appreciate it. We love you guys. And no matter what side of the road you're on, we're all Americans and Australians and UK and some Germany. And
we're all people. We're all from the
people.
world.
We're human beings. And so we're all in this world together. So let's talk about our opinions, have some fun with it, and let's see what this year brings. So let's just keep moving forward. Dillan?
I would just like to end this with this singular statement. Jeffrey Epstein did indeed kill himself. Thank you.
Yes, he did. Oh, wait. I got to put this up here.
That was a perfect way to end the show. You're ruining my bit, Sue.
Oh, wait, we got Rick Warren too. Hang on.
Oh, Jesus. The bit's ruined.
Thank you, Rick. We appreciate it, buddy. And you are going to be on the show as soon as you get over that cold. You start feeling better, brother. And we'll get on here and we'll get into some other stuff as well. So until next time, I'm Eddie Hill with Dillan Holliday. And we'll see you next time. And next time it won't be so long. We'll probably do 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 tops. But we were just having fun tonight. So anyway, y'all take care, and we will talk to you all again very, very soon.